Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I just wanted to begin by today we acknowledge that the lands on which we gather is the traditional territory of the Wolastoqey. These territories are covered by the treaties of peace and friendship of the Wolastoqey people, first signed with the British Crown in 1725. We'll call for attendance. Kelly, the attendance has been taken?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I'd also like to just draw your attention for a moment to welcome Director Stephen Sharp to the table. Stephen's no stranger to many of the folks. He's online with us here this evening, and welcome, Stephen, and good to see you back.
Well, thank you, John, and it's good to be back, although it may be only for a short period.
Well, that's all right. Good to have experienced people around the table. At this point, we will move to the election of the chair and vice chair positions. In terms of the election of chair, to remind everyone, you can self-nominate or someone else can nominate a person for the role, the position of chair. So we'll call for that first. Are there any nominations for the position of chair?
I'll nominate Judy Wilson-Shee.
Director Wilson-Shee, do you accept?
Yes.
Thank you. Is there any other nominations for the position of chair? Any other nominations for the position of chair? Not hearing any, we'll declare.
Seconder.
Oh, sorry, is there a seconder for?
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Nicklin. My apologies, sorry, that's why we keep, I keep Don handy, so. It's seconded. And there were no further calls. One last time, any further calls for the position of chair? Any further nominations? Not hearing anything, anyone or anything? We will declare Director Wilson-Shee as our chair. Thank you very much. Donna, I also did the vice chair.
Okay, next on our agenda is election of vice chair.
I nominate Gary Pussy.
Pussy, you will second it, okay, and do you accept? Yes, I got too many.
Dave's everywhere.
Make sure someone out of sync here. Bring them up, sit together, Madam Chair.
So, and Dave, you said you accept. Is there any other nominations for vice chair? Calling third time, any further nominations for vice chair? So, Dave DePussy, you have accepted it and it's been seconded, so welcome, you are the vice chair. Thank you. Okay, approval of the agenda.
Seconder Dave Morrison Hamel.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Are there any conflict of interest for disclosure this evening? No? Okay, we'll go on now to number 7, the consent agenda. A, approval of the minutes, March the 4th, 2025. B, Economic Expansion Committee report. So I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
I'll move one ball.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Now we'll move on to presentation. Tonight, we are pleased to welcome the primary healthcare leadership team for the region with Horizon Health. They will be sharing some information on the work currently ongoing in their roles, as well as the plan for primary healthcare for our communities. We ask all directors to wait until the end of the presentation for questions and be advised that this team will be speaking to primary healthcare in the region only. Questions about recruitment strategies and needs of other physician specialties may have to be addressed at another time. I will turn the floor over to Horizon Health team to introduce themselves, starting with Dr. Cornstalk.
Stop. Hi, everybody. Somebody give me a thumbs up. You can hear me okay? Sounds good. I'm Ravi Comstock. I'm the clinical side of the lead here, and Miley Lockhart is my other half. She'll introduce herself in a second. I'm joining you guys from Moncton today. I'm a family doctor by trade, and I have a full practice here in Moncton. I've been doing this leadership role since last May, so it's not quite a year yet. And Miley.
Hi, everyone. I'm Miley Lockhart. I'm the Executive Director for Primary Healthcare. So this is for all of Horizon, and I'm Dr. Comstock's other half in leading our primary healthcare team at Horizon. And with us today, we also have Steph Labrosse, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Absolutely, thank you. You can hear me okay as well? Yeah. Okay. So my name is Stefan Labrosse. I'm the area director. So new to the role, about 3.5, 4 months, but not new to this world of primary care. So glad to join the team and glad to be here.
And then we also have Sarah Jane Vermette with us here today.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sarah Jane Vermette. I'm the Regional Director for Primary Healthcare Engagement. So looking after our stakeholder, partner relations, and internal engagement as well. Happy to be here. Nice to meet you all.
All right. So I'm sharing my screen right now. Are you able to see?
Yes.
Yes, good.
Okay, perfect. Now I don't see anyone, so I'm hoping my team can help navigate if there's questions or see for me. But our team is here today to talk to you about primary healthcare, and I know this has been a hot topic. So really, before we go into too many details of what we do, I want to start with the definition of primary healthcare. And so this is something that grounds our team when we talk about what we do. And primary healthcare, by definition, according to the World Health Organization, it's the first place people go for health services in their community and should be providing fair, complete, and ongoing care while connecting patients to the health and social services that they need. So primary healthcare focuses on the overall well-being and community health while also supporting and empowering people to manage their own health. And so this is really what we are trying to provide as a team, and that's what we always reflect on when we're looking at the services that we're working on trying to expand. So how do we do this? Because again, we know that everyone's talking about primary healthcare these days. Well, Horizon's really working on building what we are branding as family health teams. And you would have heard a lot of different terminologies for this, whether we call it patient medical home, collaborative care teams, they all mean pretty much the same thing. It's the idea that we have a group of different healthcare workers that are coming together and working together to provide care for patients and families. And this group is able to not only care for their patients and support their patients, they're also caring for each other. So they're taking care of their patients together as a team. And this makes sure that people in the community get the healthcare they need in their own home community. This is a proven model. It allows for better access for patients and does show that it can improve the patient experience. And a key piece of this is that as we set up teams in communities, patients are able to be matched to their team in their home communities to ensure that they are getting the right healthcare from the right practitioner at the right time. So how are we doing this? Well, as many of you already know, right now we have to work with what we have. Unfortunately, we're not in a position where we're able to add hundreds of new positions into New Brunswick all at once at the same time. So we have to build the environment to attract new physicians, new nurse practitioners, new grads into working as part of these teams. And we know that that is the environment that many people, as they come out of school, as they start to look for other jobs, are looking for. They're looking for this team-based environment that they can walk into, join, and work. So we're working what we have on the ground. And previously in New Brunswick and still currently, there are a lot of physicians that set up what we call solo practice. And what that means is physicians move into community, wherever that might be, and they set up their own small business essentially. So they set up shop, open up their doors, and start accepting patients. And they're responsible for everything to do with those patients by themselves. What happens after that is that when they choose to close their practice for whatever reason, it could be retirement, it could be moving out of the community, it could be a lot of different reasons, they then have to figure out how do they transition that small business, right? Those patients don't just have a transition of care. That provider is responsible for transitioning the care of their patients. Oftentimes, when there were a surplus of physicians that wanted to practice in the solo practice model, they would come in and they'd be able to sell their business essentially to another physician and say, here you go, take over my practice. Here's my patients. You're all set up. That's no longer appealing for a lot of people. And a big reason is that a lot of physicians are finding it quite heavy to carry a patient panel all by themselves. It's a large group of patients. Then they have to also figure out how to transition that care to someone else. And so what we're doing at Horizon is we are working with our physicians and communities. We're finding all of the physicians, we're talking, we're engaging with them and figuring out how do we help them transition into this team-based care model. So that's where we are right now, that transition state. So as we talk to our physicians, as we talk to our different team members, we're trying to figure out how do we group them together in the community that they are serving. And we're pulling those people together and figuring out a plan to serve that entire community. Eventually, where we'd like to be able to get to is a future state where we do have that full team that can care for that entire community based on the population health needs of that community. So this sort of just sums it up. There's a lot of different pieces of work that Horizon's working on right now. As many of you already know, we currently have 46 community health centers that we are operating in Horizon. So these are primary healthcare centers that already have different aspects of that team already built. And the other piece that we're working on, and that's the piece that I was focusing on a little bit more in the earlier slides, is that we are co-creating family health teams. So we are working with these physicians, we're working with the different healthcare professionals, and we're bringing them together. So we're calling that the co-creation of new teams in different communities. Our target is that by 2029, all unattached New Brunswick residents will be attached to a primary care team. So current state, this is just a picture of where we're at right now. We have 46 sites scattered around the province in our service area. And then we have quite a few teams that we are currently working in the capital region. And the sites that are already in existence in the Fredericton area, we have the Centre de Santé Noreen Richard Health Center, Fredericton Downtown Health Center, Primary Healthcare Network, the Northside Community Health Center, and the Fredericton Southside Health Center. In the Oromocto, Gagetown, and Fredericton Junction area, we have Fredericton Junction Health Center, the Oromocto Community Health Center, and Queens North Community Health Center in Minto. In the Nakwik, McAdam, and Canterbury area, we have Harvey Health Center, McAdam Health Center, the Nakwik Health Center, and the Keswick Health Center. So our progress to date right now, you've probably heard a little bit of this in the news or in the media, is that we are working with the Fredericton North Community Health Center to expand that site. What that means is we've been able to recruit a few physicians to start working in the site as we build up that team. So we have been adding over the last several months, new healthcare providers, new allied healthcare professionals to that team. We're expecting by the summer to start attaching more patients to that team. And then within the next 6 months, we're looking to move into a larger facility. Once we're able to move into that larger facility, we'll then be able to hopefully recruit more people into that team that we've already built and be able to expand access for the entire Fredericton North community. And that's sort of the process that we're trying to follow throughout all of our areas, figuring out how do we build and scale up so that we have that environment where new providers, other providers, as they look around, want to work in these community health teams or family health teams. We also have several teams that we are currently working with in the capital region. We have on the site, I'm missing some Oromocto Health, the Oromocto Health team and some of the other teams in our rural areas, but we do have quite a few physician groups and other healthcare providers within each of our communities that we are pulling together and looking to build family health teams with. So the big question for us is that as a group, how can you be involved? What are some of the things that you can be doing with us? And I'm going to leave the slide here, but I want to open the space up for questions. I think the key thing for us is for the community to sell themselves. That's a really big part of it. That's something that we're not able to do. We can sell and we can develop those work environments, but where we like the community to help support us and help work with us in this, and we have a team to help work with you on this, is figuring out how to sell your community.
Thank you. So we will open it up for discussion or questions, and what we'll do is we'll go around the table and then we'll go to the screen. So we'll start with you, Director. Well,
we're one of the fortunate areas that, in Frederick Junction, we have 3 positions there. One of them is probably retirement age, but, we probably are okay for a while. I don't know. I know they're all to their limit or what they're going to take, so. Down the road, we would be looking probably to expand that. But again, there's position recruitment, it seems to be quite difficult at the time.
thank you.
Maybe I can take that. I think that, sorry, who, may I know who was speaking? So then I want
It's
to.
Len Faulkner, I'm the mayor of Frederick Junction.
Okay. So, Mr. Mayor, I think I want to answer that question as our main focus over the first year. I really feel over the last year has been succession planning. So we know a lot of our physicians are aging. I think there is a number that's being quoted that is a third of our physicians are over 60. That's a big number of our providers. And you all also know, I'm sure, that it takes probably at least a couple of new providers to replace an aging one. You know, our older doctors kind of carry it all on their shoulders, and they have very large practices, so 200, 2,000 plus sometimes. And so we really need to make sure that as these retiring physicians retire, which they should be able to retire, how do we make sure that it doesn't impact the community, that all of a sudden now we have 2,000 patients in the unattached list? So that has been a major focus of our work over the last year. So instead of saying how many people have you attached to your teams, I almost kind of want to keep us accountable over the last year and this state of our planning as to how many people have we prevented from being unattached. It has been a big number. We're helped quite a few of our senior colleagues try to transition out. We're creating environments where they can transition out, not carry a roster anymore, and not have the burden of having this whole running of a business called primary care for them. And rather now they can come and work, and we're creating environments where there's no overhead for them, and they can work on an episodic basis and take their cruises, take their vacation, but then come back and have a place to work as much as they possibly can. Clearly, we're not there yet. There are major gaps. You know, we do have a significant number of providers that are aging, so we can't have a replacement for them all. But we need to make sure that there is some care, if not great care, for their patients after they retire. And we are actively working, and it looks different in each place. And so I can go into more details, but I'll stop there for a second.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Okay. We're looking at the Oromonto Public Hospital, hopefully they'll extend the hours. And we have the Oromonto clinic that's down there, but it's in the Oromonto Special Care Home. And it's too small for them, and we're looking for more space. But we still need more doctors in the Oromonto and the local catch basin. We're still shy of that, and we're, us being a military town, the military families are coming in, the military members have a doctors on the base, but their families don't, and they're having a hard time getting doctor physicians and healthcare people to take care of their families, so we're in a predicament down there.
I can take this one as well. I think that you do have a special community in Oromocto, but a lot of places have special issues related to that particular site. So in Oromocto, you've got a large DND population and DND families. We also have a group that we're trying to create some care for not just families of the military members, but also for the First Nations people. And then we have a bunch of sort of different types of primary care providing access points. So we have physicians' offices that are solo. There are some groups that have figured out a collaborative model that seems to be working well for them. And then we've got our community health center located, just in the neighborhood. But anybody would agree that space is not appropriate. It really is unsafe. We need to move them out. We are planning on working on a solution that takes care of all of these issues. What we don't want to plan is some sort of a fractured for a future state again, where we have DND members taking care of them here, and we have First Nations over there, and we have the general community over here. We're really trying to work with the providers and making sure that we have the physician and provider buy-in. If we don't have provider buy-in in this type of a model, then you'll have an empty building with nobody to work in. So we are just making sure that we do all the groundwork. We have all of the provider side ready to go. So then when we do make this decision of where and what this infrastructure is, that we're able to take care of Oromocto at large. And we're actively working on it. In fact, we have a meeting in Oromocto coming up in a couple of weeks.
I was aware of that. I just wanted to bring it up for everyone else to know and understand our situation there. And we're also in the midst of planning a new recreation and culture center, and we would like to put a clinic inside that. A big clinic, so it's something else. So if you weren't aware of that, but I'm going to make you be aware of it. Thank you very much.
Okay, as we go around the table, directors, can you please introduce yourself?
Okay, I'm Mayor Dale Norrie Tracy, and concerns that I have there is we're very happy to President Johnson, and doctors are approved. Like Ellen was saying, it's good that there are 3 doctors there, but we have a lot of new people moving in from different parts of the country. We have a lot of people from Ontario and Alberta and taking residence in the country. And Kathleen, many of them, they come to me and I don't know where they get back to because.
I'm sorry, I don't know if was there a
We're not
question
quite
there,
getting
Boris?
it. We're not getting
We're having
all
trouble
of it.
hearing a little bit.
The speaker. Okay. All right. Where I am, we're very handy to the Reggie Junction, Rennie. But the problem is we have many people are moving into our communities, buying houses from elsewhere, Ontario, Alberta, and Quebec. And the problem is they've had when they come to me as the mayor and our council, they can't get a doctor because the doctors which are there now are filled capacity, and they just don't have that opportunity to have a doctor. So it's very challenging for new people moving into our community. We find out.
I think that I want to get away from the conversation around having a doctor. I really want to shift the conversation to having a team take care of you. So I think, if I heard you right, there is shortage of doctors, 100%. There's no, everybody would agree that we are by no means making the demands and meeting the demands. However, we can do a lot better in our current state. And we will talk about recruitment in a second, but we are in the current state. I can tell you just personally that I've been able to double my practice, went from about 1,300 to 2,500 with adding an LPN and a 0.5 RN. Just with having that allied resources, I can take care of a lot more patients. And I needed to make room along with me. So I've got an NP coming and joining me in May. So what we're looking at is adding providers, which may be physicians, which may be NPs, and then supporting them with all of the nursing support and social workers. And we just had a conversation with 2 aging physicians in Miramichi about an hour ago. And they were saying one of the best things way back they used to have is a social worker easily available. And it would take away so much of their, it's the heavy stuff that the social worker can help you with, that physician's not the right person to see those patients. How can we make these allied resources available when we are actively recruiting physicians, but we're not there to take away some of this work? So the team takes care of the patients in that neighborhood, not just the physician. That's way too much work to carry on your own. The other thing I think you're trying your point was that there is a lot of influx of folks. And bigger cities, I 100%, I mean, I live in Moncton, and I think that this is probably a lot of immigration, a lot of folks from other province have come here, and our resources are limited. And I'm sure you guys deal with something to non-health related issues. Our schools are maxed, our housing is maxed. And so I think the government knows that, and Department of Health is making primary care a priority for this exact same reason, because they understand that we are the absolute upstream is where the funding should be. We need to stabilize primary care if we want to stabilize any kind of secondary care. So I do see that with the support from the government, and with having stakeholders like yourself and a team of ours, it's going to be a stepwise process, but we are setting ourselves a 6-month, 1 year, 5-year goals, and I see us achieving them. We've already been able to achieve significant amount. And for recruitment, I think we have Sarah Jane. You want to chime in with some numbers, please, if you did?
Sure. For the Fredericton area, I don't have a specific breakdown. However, for the last fiscal year, we would have recruited 39 new hires with a net new of 30. So that would mean including the departing physicians. So 30 new physicians for the Fredericton and Upper River Valley area in fiscal year, in the previous fiscal year. So there's work being done, and with this new model and recruitment efforts, and I think there is, like Miley said as well, there is an opportunity to collaborate and partner and to really sort of bolster what each of us bring to the table in terms of that recruitment piece. And along with the work that Dr. Comstock and Miley are doing, and Stefan with partnering with a lot of the physicians in the areas, I think there's a lot of different pieces to the puzzle. And I think a lot of good things can happen when, we have these collective conversations and we bring these pieces together. But that's just to give you an overview of those recruitment numbers. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to take them off to our recruitment team, or potentially answer some based on what information we have with us this evening.
I think the other thing I want to talk about recruitment just for a second longer is that, if you looked at the state of primary care, where it for traditionally it has been so solo, small, paper-based, big practices, it scares the young grads away. So it's on us to create those opportunities. It is on us to make sure that we create those turnkey, easy walk-in type operations where you have the ability to walk in and start working, or you want to maintain autonomy and you want to have some say in who you hire, and you want to run a business, fine, that is also on the table. We're making sure that in this large infrastructures, everybody working there still have their autonomy to be able to choose what they want. So these models are going to attract new folks, and I think that currently we're just starting this journey of creating these models. And so in the next year, you'll see these more and more pop up, and you'll see now young grads being attracted to it. Big light at the end of the tunnel.
Thank you. Can you speak up?
Okay, I'm the mayor of Grand Lake. I'm Kevin Nicklin, which is Minto, if you didn't know. And it also is Chipman, which wasn't necessarily on your sheet, which kind of concerns me as well. But I'll get to my question is, when we started this was, all the talk was Dr. Pop, Dr. Pop. And everybody was talking about that. Now it's Team to Pop, I would assume, that we're looking at, which is great. Has the digital records, I know between Minto and Chipman's, use two different sets of digital records, and they tell me that's a hard reason to get doctors to come to the area, because there's not continuity between the two. But so I'm glad that you're looking at that. But my bigger question is, have you guys looked at the areas around our capital region and said, this is the areas of teen to population that require more doctors in it? And if so, could that be shared? And then second part to that question is, every single day I stop to the hospital up there, and because it's in my riding and I'm past it going to the office, and I stop in the emergency room or emergency portion to take a look at who's in there. And probably 70% of the people that are in there are not from the Grand Lake area. So how does that get factored into your numbers?
Good questions. I mean, I can tell you that we need to create more opportunity to get same-day access for patients in other areas is the answer to your second part. the first part I'm going to let maybe Miley take it as to the area details. But for me, when patients will go anywhere to get care, that is the current state of affairs. And even here in Moncton, I live in Moncton with 2 big hospitals. And the wait list is so long that people will travel an hour away and go to another hospital. And at the end of the day, that hospital may not have the services which they need. And so they're then having to come back actually after all of that back to the Moncton area. So what that tells me is a couple of things. First of all, we need to work very closely with our acute services. So we are, primary care and acute services are definitely working together and figuring out who is the right person to see that patient. So why are our primary care ending up in the emergency room? It is not only not good for the patient because they're now waited to, how many ever hours to be seen. It's also extremely expensive. Patients getting seen in the emergency room costs the system a lot more than primary care taking care of this patient. And hence the fact that the primary care is getting the funding and a lot of other programs are not. So with this funding, we need to bolster up our primary cares around all areas. And I know we are starting with a few because we only have limited funding in our first go. But we're going to make sure that even with our current resources, we can do better in shifting the primary care back into primary care, back into physicians' offices, adding nurse practitioner providers to practices where we can, increasing the CTAF. We call them not so acute medicine stuff, where we take it out of the hospital and send it back to the primary care clinics. And that will hopefully mean that there is less pressure on these emergency rooms. But as far as your question on why everybody's traveling to your Grand Lake area, it's because you have a fantastic facility that provides great care. So maybe we need to duplicate it in other places, and we need to make sure that there are more of these services around in the rest of New Brunswick, and we clearly have some work to do with our acute partners.
And just on the, yeah.
And I want to tell you that we would love to be part of the recruitment, but we're never asked. So I appreciate that you want to involve people in the community.
We do. And I think if you can think of, I feel like it's hard to reach out to everyone. What we're going to do at the very end is our primary health, right there actually on this slide, you see the email, it's phcplanning@horizonnb.ca. I would love for you to provide us feedback and how you feel we haven't engaged you and how you feel we can partner. I would love to take any help anybody has. So please email us on that email, and we'd love to hear your thoughts on how we could be better partnering with you.
Thank you. And that email, our CEO will distribute that so everybody has a copy of it.
And to that first part of your question there, we are actively planning in all of our communities. So one of the things that we are doing is looking at it from a population health perspective. What's the population of each community? What's the current resource that is available in each community? So number of doctors, number of providers, health centers, whatever is available. And then we're doing some math behind that to then figure out what's the gap, what's missing, and figuring out how do we get those resources into place. So there's a lot of planning that's happening behind the scenes, and more to come as we start to work closely with each community to really figure out what those needs are and add in those extra resources.
And will that be shared with the communities? Because I not understand what you're saying, but I'm the mayor and I've never spoke to anybody or haven't been contacted by anyone. So just curious.
We're in our early days. So yes, what we've started with as we started in this journey, and Dr. Comstock and I are about, I want to say 8 months into our roles here, and the task that we've been given is to transform primary healthcare. So what we started with is working with the physicians and the providers in the community with our engagement. Eventually, that is part of our plan, is to start working with communities as well. So we're putting all those pieces together to really identify who's working in the communities and how do we serve those communities that we're working with.
I'm sure. Well, I got more, but go ahead. Lots of questions.
And just about Minto area, I just wanted to say, if we have any of the planning that's happening in that area, Dr. Morrissey and our manager at the site, Isabel, we're very much working with those that are on ground. We wouldn't be coming at anybody making a whole plan for that area without engaging the boots on ground. So for me, it's the providers that are there. And the community, I'm hoping that the providers that are working there have a very good pulse on their communities. I would love for, one of the things that I like is when municipality and the providers are actually communicating with each other. That is very helpful. In the towns that we've been able to have more success, it's because the providers had the support of the local community. And in those cases, I think that's a very big asset for us. So I would love for this to be one of the things you can take away, is that the only way we are going to plan something is by including the providers that are in your area. So have a good relationship with them. Make sure that they feel supported by the town and the community, and they have a good pulse on what is the need and the requirements for the area.
I'm Marty Forsyth. I'm the chair of the Capital Rural District. I'm on the recruiting committee in Oromocto to recruit doctors. And I'm looking at the top part of your slide, support recruitment. We do a very good job. In fact, if you ask all the young recruits that we've had, we've entertained them very well. We looked after and they like the Oromocto area. But the biggest problem that I find and can't seem to get answers for, it's not the doctors. Yeah, I'm a big person and believe in build it and they will come. Well, getting the information that we need from Horizon and everybody else to what you need in the building to get the doctor, once we get the doctors, we have it because they all want the turnkey operations. Recruitment's easy, I think. It's the building that to get Horizon specs, finding that information, it's pretty tough. We've asked many a time to different groups and we've never got it. And, right now, probably within 6 months to a year, the Burton courthouse is going to close and go into the Fredericton courthouse. Well, that makes a perfect opportunity for a big clinic with everybody in there, social workers and everything else, but some primary care doctors. And the young people that have been in Oromocto and on our boat rides and everything else that we've done for them, I think they would come because they know they'll be treated well. But we gotta have a place for them. And we gotta know what to put into that place. And every meeting that I've been on, I've never heard that yet.
Kudos.
I think there are two things that provider comes to. One is a space and one is a team. You put a new provider in a place with not a lot of support from their mentors and from colleagues, it's not really a collaborative model, and that is not something I feel long-term as in a long-term solution. I think in the weeks coming, Oromocto is a priority, and we have members that are really kind of wanting to work with Horizon right now. So I am very hopeful that in the weeks coming, you'll hear some sort of a concrete plan for the area.
That would be nice.
Thank you. Next.
Hi, David, Mayor Duplessis from Central York, and the Keswick facility is in my municipality. I'd like to thank you for your presentation here this evening. We've had some doctors travel through the Keswick area, but none of them seem to land there for whatever reason. Maybe we're just poor entertainers or whatever, I'm not sure. But I would like to thank you for the 3 nurse practitioners that are there. Like, we're very grateful to have those, and if we can't land a doctor, maybe it's possible to get another nurse practitioner in the 4th office. So anyway, I'd like to thank you for what you do.
We appreciate that. And yes, I think that we are not in any position to turn away any candidates. We get a physician, we get nurse practitioners, we cannot turn anybody away. And we would actively be recruiting both those teams. And thank you for your support.
Focus down this one. This owl. This owl. Yes. Sorry.
This one is.
Hi, I'm Richard Corey. I'm Mayor of Harvey Rural Community, and we have a very good situation in the Harvey Health Center. We built that with Louis Robichaud and Frank McKenna closed it down to from a hospital to a health center, and I happened to be on the board when we did that. So we're very happy that we've been able to evolve it and can keep serving the community through all of that time. with a strong health center. And today, with 2 physicians and currently 1 nurse practitioner, soon to be 2, I understand, or maybe 2, if the second one has already been recruited. My concern now and the concern of council is that what is it that we need to be doing every day to make sure that those individuals are supported well in the community, and that from housing to what other kind of support they may need happens. We're very fortunate again because the physician that's been in the community the longest, we started recruiting him 45 years ago when he was born. So, but we are concerned about putting together a strategy over the next 5-7 years so that we're doing the right things, so that when a nurse practitioner or a physician moves on, changes, or nurses change, or the dietitian moves through, what we're ready as a municipality to kind of help with the things that we're good at, like finding housing, working through finding a facility, that sort of thing, so.
I think, yep, I think thank you again for supporting our colleagues at Harvey, and we're trying to really build, and Steph LeBras, I would love for your input here about when is this nurse practitioner joining that team?
In a month. Yeah, in a month. So yeah, so the team there, what a fantastic facility, by the way, and a great team. And so there's a lot of details I could jump in further conjunction and stuff. We'll do Harvey. So a new nurse practitioner, additional RN, social worker support. So I think to answer your question on our end and for the RHA is that building this team as both Ravi and Miley we're talking about is the strength of the team. Usually solidifies a longer stay longer. So it just so that team approach to care. So and if somebody leaves, the team picks up the slack. Essentially, is what it is. So the team in Harvey is definitely stronger now, and we're just starting to build this team. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of positive things there, which means rostering more patients, providing same day access potentially down the line, and then again the approach to if you move in this community, this is your health center, and we will provide care for you. Yeah, so hopefully that answers your question. I think on the ground, and I'll let everybody jump in as well on this one, but on the ground in regards to, we definitely need your support. This is something I'm learning as I visit all those clinics and meet the people is that our partnership when it comes down to recruiting or understanding your community outside of just the health center, I think is crucial. And then a few mayors have said this as well. Nobody's reached out to me, and we're it's early stages, and we are reaching out to communities, service commissions, just to say, hey, how can we partner together, and how can we be better at when there's an opportunity to recruit someone, or when there's someone thinking of leaving, what's the strategy here. So I think you'll see, and I see Sarah, you had your hand up probably to jump in there as well, or
No, just when you're done there, I was going to.
No, that's good. You can go ahead for sure.
Yeah, just to add a couple of things around, I really appreciate that comment, Mara, around how the community can support new healthcare workers and physicians as they arrive, or those transitions, and agree with the housing and all of those things. But essentially the community, and you play a really important role in helping these people get acclimated to your community. And so whether that's employment for spouse or childcare, recreation, a strong integration and belonging in the community does go a very long way. So I really appreciate that proactive sort of approach, and we would certainly be open to collaborating and contributing to that sort of strategy that you have kind of mentioned there. So I think that's really positive. And also, as a sort of follow-up to this meeting, I'm not sure who would be the right person, but we have attempted to reach out to all of the sort of mayors and RSC representatives. However, appreciate that perhaps it wasn't as up to date as it could have been, or perhaps some were missed. So would appreciate an up-to-date list if someone is able to provide that to us. Because what we could do is, as we work through these planning, like through this planning stage with our communities, we'd really like to start to provide more regular communications and updates as we move through this. So yeah, if we could just have someone connect after this meeting and we could arrange for an up-to-date list to facilitate some of that communications, that would be much appreciated.
Our CAO, John Smith, as soon as this meeting is completed, then he will forward that information to you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's Dave Morrison, Mayor of Hanwell. I want to thank you guys for showing up tonight. It's a pleasure to talk to you guys kind of face to face. I'm very fortunate. I've had the same doctor for the last 35 years, but he's kind of getting old in the tooth, and I'm near to death that he's going to retire soon. So I'm kind of somewhat concerned if your team. I looked at the slide just quickly, and I see like you know, you've got a nurse practitioner, you've got a healthcare worker, not a healthcare worker, but a social worker. I didn't see a doctor on there. I'm hoping that if there's a team and I go over to a team, that I'm not sent to a social worker. If I'm ailing, I want to see a doctor, not a social worker. So is the team going to have doctors on it?
Primary care providers is kind of, it would be a doctor and an NP. Has to be. We don't have a primary care provider, then it's really the core of the team is missing in that way. The social worker would only be seeing you. It's the most appropriate provider at the right time. So there are times that a social worker is the more appropriate person to see a person. But you're coming in with an ailment and it's a physical issue, you need to see a provider. Or mental health sometimes, depends on what the scenario. We're really working on our triaging system and optimizing everybody's scope of practice, so making sure that nobody's providing care that they're uncomfortable with. And we have to have providers in the mix. Would it be a physician or an NP? We don't know yet.
You know, part two of my question, I'll just pass this story along. I was told by a counselor of mine last week. He lives in Island View, and he tells me he's got neighbors across the street that are both doctors from Nova Scotia, and they can't seem to get any work here in the Fredericton area. Is that possible? That could actually happen?
I think that we would love to know the details around it. There are definitely times that for whatever reason, the physicians are not able to be licensed in New Brunswick. So this is the one thing actually I'll bring up to you guys, is that I know that there's a lot of work being done by the communities in recruitment, and I please don't stop, keep doing it. But when you have a serious candidate and when you think that it might be somebody who is interested in your area, please engage us at that point. Engage our recruitment team at that point. Not everybody can get a license here. There are many things. So first, the college has to make sure that somebody is able to be licensed, and then we would. I don't want to get anybody's hopes up until that first process is done. So there's a story here. I don't know. There's some sort of a backstory here. We wouldn't be turning away providers. We're not in any shape to do that.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm David Sweeney, Mayor of Nashwauk. I didn't see the Stanley Health Center on your list of community centers. Is there any kind of information you can give me on that?
Did you say Stanley? I just want to make sure I'm still learning my. Yeah. Actually, what the latest, I know that I've spoken to Dr. French name. I'm forgetting all the names. I know I've spoken to majority of the physicians and most of the NPs around and working for Horizon. So sometimes I forget some names. Infrastructure is an issue. And I think that we have some plans for that area. And I think, Steph, do you have some latest on that part? We didn't mean to forget it. I think it might be connected to another CHC, another health center is why.
Yeah, it's just the way it is. But we've actually, luckily in this health center, we hired a new nurse practitioner that started about 3 weeks ago. So I think you're gaining some. We're also adding LPNs, improving technology, introducing AI for charting. So there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of work to do in this community too. Dr. Clayton, I believe, Jonathan, and so we're
Yes.
yeah, there's a lot going on there. I think it's again a great, great place, great engagement from the providers there. So nurse practitioner started, I believe, last week or something like that. Very recently, an experienced nurse practitioner as well, and so and also for all the communities, and that's a very good point. And apologize for that health center not being on the list there, but in all your communities as well, technology is helping improve access as well. So somebody had mentioned the electronic medical records between Chipman and Minto, and we are, actively we are going to have a one electronic medical records at some point. That's a safety issue as well. So those are all introducing AI technology to improve access charting. That's a frustration from providers, from family physicians. Too much paperwork. There's not enough. But yeah, Stanley, we gained a lot of grounds there. Introduced a nurse practitioner, LPN, registered nurse, some chronic disease, social worker support. So yeah, there's some gains there for sure, and that's just happened in the last month and a half or something like that. So
Great, thank you.
And I just want to interrupt for a minute. We've got you scheduled till 7:30, and I would like to see all the directors around the table have their say. And we may run out of time, but it's very important that the directors have a say around the table. So we'll go to you next, please.
Hi, David Hayward, Mayor of Sunbury, York South. Rural community, I do have one question. How do we better improve the message of the transition from primary care, healthcare to the team concept at the municipal level? How can we communicate that better to the community? Because most of the time we're looking at the sole focus of the family doctor. How can we change how people are looking at that?
I think that I mean, you can use many examples, but I use my bank as an example. Based on what issue I have, I see a different person at a bank. If I need a loan, I see the loan person, and if I need to pay off some bill, they're just different people that are specialists within that same building in the same thing. And I feel like we are somewhat similar to that, is that we all have our scopes of practice. And I can tell you this, that wound care, for example, I had a patient with a breakdown of wound. My nurse is so much better at wound care than I am. I've been doing this for 25 years. And so we need to make sure that there is no ego here. We need to take care of the patients that are in the community. Who is the right person to see? In that particular case, where the patient came in with wound dehiscence, where the wound had come apart, I right away said, you stay here. I'm going to get the right person for you. And I actually stepped out and the nurse took over. She knows a lot more about wound care than I did, and she finished the care. And I think that that is that you can use many examples if you're describing it to folks, but I want to make sure that people understand that physicians have a lot of knowledge at diagnosing and treatment plan, but there are a lot of things that we don't have a lot of detailed education on, that our nursing staff does, that our social workers do, that our pharmacists do. I mean, there are so many things that somebody else can do better than the primary care provider, not just instead, but better. So we try to maximize all of our resources in this team model.
And that's a great question for our team to take away. One of the things that we are trying to do is develop some of those materials to help educate the general public, and something that we can certainly pass along to you as well as leaders in your community to help educate and provide that information about what a team-based care model looks like. What does that mean when you enter into this facility or you start to be part of this team, and how you receive care, and what that type of care could look like when you come in with whatever ailment. But we'll take that away, and then we'll also, as we develop these resources, make sure that we're connecting you to those same resources so that you can help and provide that information to your community members.
Bill?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My name is Greg Erickson. I'm representing the city of Fredericton as Mayor Rogers' alternate here on the board of directors at the Capital Regional Service Commission. Thank you very much for your presentation tonight. And I guess I don't have any questions. I'd just like to extend an invitation to you and your team to come meet with the city of Fredericton. I don't have questions because I'm not a housing expert, a settlement expert, marketing or promotion expert. Yet I oversee the employment of all of those experts. So I think we need to sit down in a room with those people and you people so we can discuss how we can more effectively hit this target of recruitment and retention around healthcare professionals. And if we can do that, the sooner the better. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Comstock. Thank you very much, Ms. Lockhart and your team.
Thank you. Okay, Director Tim Fox.
Good evening. Thanks again for coming and making a presentation to us. I'm Mayor of Nakwik Millville. I've been there since January 2023. I heard a comment earlier about working with your local health center staff. We've been working with our Nakwik Health Center staff virtually since day one. We communicate regularly. I would say sometimes probably weekly about what's going on. So we know that there's been some improvement in our staffing, or there's plans for improvement in our staffing underway. So we appreciate that. And I just wanted to say we bought in early and we started singing from this collaborative practice song sheet for almost 2 years now. And we also recognized very early, and Horizon also recognized, and I think the Department of Health recognized it, that our current facilities are inadequate for growth. And we have a functional plan completed by Horizon to fix that problem so that we can grow to an adequate size facility to do, I would say, a top-notch collaborative practice. How much alignment, I guess I've got a two-part question. How much alignment between your recruitment team and the folks that are have the authority over infrastructure? How much alignment between your two teams, I guess, is number one. And number two is, if you don't have the infrastructure to put these collaborative teams in, doesn't that kind of hinder your planning a little bit? And I think those things need to be aligned because our functional plan's been over a year old, and what we've heard about what we do about that is crickets. So I think, and it's going to sound like it's criticism, but I'm trying to be constructive, and at some point we got to stop planning and start doing. So that they may be questions, maybe statements, but I'd be interested in your thoughts on those.
I can answer the physician side, and Mali, I'd love for you to take the infrastructure side. I can tell you that between Dr. Pickens, Dr. Bremstrup, and then we've got we're talking about Nakwik, right? I just want to make sure I've got my right area, right? I'm not from New Brunswick. That's I'm not from here. I've been settled here for 15 years, and I've never known a province like I know New Brunswick now. But the three providers that are working there, and P2 physicians and we've been talking for months and months. And I actually often do use your example as what a collaborative practice is. So I do actually really want to thank you, the town, the CHC, all the workers, because they have set a great example. As far as the infrastructure, I know there's quite the process for this, and I'm going to let Miley answer that one.
Absolutely. There's a lot of steps that are involved in the infrastructure planning. And I think that was your question, is that how do our different teams work together? And right now, that's what we're trying to figure out, right? So what we've identified is that we do need expansion of that space or a new space in Nakwik, and that's what that functional plan has said. And so the next steps is really securing funding for it, and that's the piece that's really outside of our control right now. We've identified the need, and the next steps are now just waiting for the funding that come down from government, because we don't have the funding available for infrastructure. What we've been funded for is additional healthcare resources, so human resources, but we haven't been funded for infrastructure, and that's the piece that is missing, and that does come down from government.
If I could just ask a really quick follow-up, because I understand how the process works in terms of getting the money or having budget passed on from the Department of Health, but has the ask been made?
Yes. So for each of our teams, that's what we've been doing is that every year we submit is what we call budget pressure. Essentially bucket, I can't remember the exact terminology, but we do submit for each community, each area to say these are the needs that we need. And then it's out of our hands to decide how that funding is allocated. We can only submit our needs and why we need it. So that has gone in, and it goes in, I think it went in twice now to say that there is a need in Naklik.
Great, no, very much appreciated. Yeah. And if you're trying to get to know New Brunswick and you want to come up anytime, just let us know, and we'll show you around the
Absolutely.
Municipality and the health center.
100%. You know, I've raised my children here. They're in university now, and I feel like if I want to bring them back because they're interested in medical fields, I've got 3 kids, then I better we've got to all work together to create those worlds that the newcomers want to come to. You know, and slowly they're coming together. But yeah, you have a fantastic community. I think that infrastructure is an issue, but even as is, you are setting a great example. But we'll keep working on your behalf on the for the submissions of the infrastructure requests, and I will make sure that I haven't actually been. I'm ashamed to say I haven't been to the Naklik CHC yet, but that is on my list of places to go. Absolutely.
It's a great facility, and we've added some resources there as well. Fox, I think you're right. I think we will. You know, we will run. We don't have enough space for the extra resources, and we have a lot of resources we're going to put in there for your community, and I think we're kind of hoping this will drive that decision, and you have a very strong representation from the manager there in this clinic, and Faye's just fantastic. So she just pushes hard. So just to let you know, and I will take you up on this visit. I was there once and then went like about a month and a half ago and visit the clinic, but meet the crew. So I'll definitely make it a priority to you and the other communities as well to just really, you know, reach out and go visit and meet you.
Yep, that's much appreciated.
Thank you. Director Sharp? You're on mute.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the Deputy Mayor of Arcadia, and for those that don't know, we've recently lost one of our doctors, one of 2 doctors. So we have an empty medical clinic in the Ward 2, which is Gagetown. We have a medical clinic in Ward 5, which is Cambridge Narrows, and a doctor that is ready for retirement anytime. We have established a health committee, which I would trust is working very closely with your group. But we are in dire need of filling that building with some medical professionals sooner than later. You know, we're serving a population of about 4,000 people, and Dr. Haynes was probably looking after about 2,000 of them. So we have some very serious issues in our community, and although I've heard some very, very positive things here this evening, and I thank you for your efforts, and I know we're all constrained by budgets and finances and so on. But I can tell you on behalf of our community, we will do everything we can to do whatever we can to facilitate getting something in there. So please reach out and stay in contact, and we certainly would appreciate your support.
Thank you. And lastly but not least, Judy Wilson, I'm the mayor for the village of New Maryland. And with our community, we have the infrastructure. We have a clinic that is already there, and it's been vacant for about a year now. So I want to get involved, partnering together, and let's have a conversation. How can we get on the map, and how can we let you people know that we need help to fill that clinic? And if you ever want to come to our village, I'd be more than willing to show you around.
We'll keep that in mind for sure.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to hear. And unfortunately, we've run out of time. So on behalf of the directors around the table, I'd like to thank Dr. Comstock and your team for doing the presentation tonight. And we will get a copy of that, right? Yes, okay, thank you very much.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Thanks,
Have a good
everyone.
evening.
Okay, so now we are going to move on to committee reports, the audit committee report, Director Mowry and McMillan, Lawrence and Lawrence. You go put me a bottle of water, please, in a cup in there.
Anybody else want anything?
It's like
In a cup for the thanks.
random states. US. All
Yeah, but-
marketers.
Yeah, but 614 is not a US area code.
I know, it's gonna hack it.
Yeah.
Part of it,
Just
just
got-
color ID number, but not the rest of it.
Yeah. Meeting that's gonna be held in the city of Loma.
I think you can give them a check. You
You didn't test for all that.
Right, no.
It's the,
Yeah, well, me, there's more, there's no.
Andrew.
Do you wanna leave me a message? Give us something I don't. All the land.
So the EPR. So. Okay, thank you folks for having me here tonight. My name is Darren Lawrence. I'm partner with McMillan, Lawrence and Lawrence. And I am here to take you through the draft audited financial statements here this evening. You'll notice that the statements are in draft and they will remain in draft until they get approved by the board. Okay, so the statements are also on screen and I believe you have a copy as well. So we'll start by going to the contents page. These financial statements consist of our independent auditor's report, statement of financial position, statement of operations and accumulated surplus, statement of changes in net financial debt, statement of cash flows, the notes to the financial statements, a schedule of tangible capital assets, schedule of reconciliation of annual surplus, schedule of segment disclosure, schedule of statement of reserves, schedule of operating budget to PSA budget, and schedule of revenue and expenditures. We go on to the next page, which is our audit opinion. This audit opinion, I won't take you through all the words to it, but it is a clean audit opinion this year. There was nothing that came to our attention that would cause us to qualify our audit opinion. So in the second paragraph there, it's at the end, it says, these financial statements have been prepared in accordance with Canadian public sector accounting standards. But like I said, it is a clean audit opinion. Once the statements get approved, we will remove our draft watermark and sign the independent auditor's report. So we're going to go on to, let's skip page 3 and let's go on to page 4 of the financial statements. And please feel free to ask any questions as we go as well. So this is the statement of operations and accumulated surplus for the year ending December 31st, 2024. There's 3 columns here. The first column is your unaudited budget numbers. The second column is your actual numbers for 2024. And the third column is your actual numbers for 2023. For revenue, you had a sale of services revenue of 8.2 million, member charges 8 million, other revenue 1.1 million, grants
2.9 million, interest, 295,000, and net realized return on investment, 143,000. So total revenue was up to 20.8 million this year. For expenditures, you had administration, 8.48 million, fiscal services, 182,000, governance, 106,000, planning and building inspection services, 1.1 million, solid waste services, 9.2 million. So total expenditures, 19.1 million. And there's there's a detailed breakdown of your revenue expenses later in the financial statements, which I'll take you through here shortly. So overall, that left you with an annual surplus before unrealized gain on investments of 1.6 million. You had an unrealized gain on investments of 735,000. Leaves you with an annual surplus of 2.3 million for the year. You began with an accumulated surplus at the beginning of the year of 20.3 million. You end up with accumulated surplus of 22.7 million at the end of the year. Okay. Let's go back one page to page 3. This is your statement of financial position. So at December 31st, for financial assets, you had cash and cash equivalents of 8,021,000, receivables 2,074,000, inventory 11,000, interest receivable 8,000, and investments 6.4 million. For total financial assets of 16.5 million. For liabilities, you had payables and accruals 1.5 million, deferred revenue 548,000, funds held in trust 121,000, retiring allowance 708,000, long-term debt 4.9 million, asset retirement obligations 7.7 million, for total liabilities of 15.6 million, leaving you with net financial assets of 903,000. For non-financial assets, you had tangible capital assets of 21.2 million, prepaid expenses 564,000, leaving you with accumulated surplus of 22.7 million at the end of the year. Okay. I'll take you through the statement of changes in net financial debt on page 5. So you started off with an annual surplus of 2.3 million. There was acquisition of tangible capital assets, write down of tangible capital assets, amortization of tangible capital assets. Left you with an increase in net financial assets during the year of 1.1 million. And which resulted in net financial assets at the end of the year of 983,000. Okay, I'm going to skip a few pages here, and if you have any questions, let me know. But a lot of these note disclosures are the same as the prior year, and did have the financial statements in advance. So if we go to page 11, note 4. This is just a breakdown of your cash and cash equivalents. So you had restricted cash at the end of the year of 6.2 million and unrestricted cash of 1.7 million at the end of the year. You go to the next page, page 12. This is a breakdown. Note 5 is a breakdown of your receivables. So your total receivables at the end of the year was 2,074,000. Note 6 is a breakdown of your investments. You had cash, equities, and fixed income at the end of the year with a total value of 6.4 million. Going to the next page, page 13. This is a little more details on your asset retirement obligations. So you had an opening balance of your asset retirement obligation at January 1st of 7.4 million. Your closing balance was 7.7 million, and you had investments to offset that at 6.4 million. Note 8, long-term debt. There's a breakdown of your different debentures
at the end of the year, they total 4.9 million. Okay. Let's skip a few pages here. We'll go on to page 17, note 17. We just disclosed the subsequent event, which states on February 1st, 2025, the commission entered into an agreement to rent its recycle facility and to sell inventory, machinery, equipment, and furniture and fixtures. The commission also entered into a labor sourcing agreement. Okay, let's go to the next page, page 18. This is a schedule of your tangible capital assets. The part at the top is your total cost, less your accumulated amortization, leaves you with net book value of 21.2 million at the end of the year. And there's this table which breaks out your tangible capital assets, broken out by corporate services assets, local planning assets, solid waste assets, and power generation assets. Okay. Again, I'm going to, let's go to page 20, the reconciliation of your annual surplus. So this schedule is a reconciliation of your annual surplus for PSAB financial reporting requirements, adjusted down to the province of New Brunswick reporting requirements. So you'll see there you have the different operating funds, and at the bottom you come down to your annual surplus for the province of New Brunswick requirements. There is a larger surplus for the solid waste operating fund, and then smaller surpluses in the other funds, with small deficit in the economic development operating fund. Okay. I'm gonna skip the next page. Go to page 22. Again, just small amounts here. I guess you have a solid waste capital fund there. The surplus of 1.5 million. And then we go to the next page. There's some other surpluses in your reserve funds there. The total surplus for province of New Brunswick requirements was 4,050,000 at the end of the year. Okay. Bear with me. The subsequent schedules are the numbers for the prior year. If we go to page 28. This is the schedule of your segment disclosure. It shows you your revenue and your expenditures for cooperative, regional planning, local planning, landfill, etc. So you notice the landfill has a annual surplus of 1.5 million, is the largest. If we go to the next page, there's some smaller surpluses. And then we go to page 30. You'll see that the landfill, oh, sorry, that's the numbers for the prior year. And I'm gonna skip a few other pages here. You have your statement of reserves. Let's go to page 39. And again, if I'm going too fast or anyone has any questions or comments, please let me know. Now this is a detailed breakdown of your scheduled revenue and expenditures for the year. I'll just touch on a few highlighted larger numbers. These are the revenue and expenditures that we've already gone through, I believe, on page 4 with a little more detail. So for revenue, sale of services, you'll notice that your tipping fees were 5.2 million. Power generation revenue was 1.6 million. For total total sale of services of 8.2 million. Member charges, local planning and inspection services fees, 1.9 million, tipping fees, 3.5 million, tourism promotion fees, 1 million. So total member charges, 800,000, or sorry, 8 million. Other revenue, total of 1.1 million. For grants, you had economic development grants of 1.6 million, so total grant revenue was 2.9 million. We go on to the next page, page 40. For expenditures. Again, a lot of your expenditures are consistent with the prior year. Administration, CEO's office, 860,000. Financial management, total expenses, 293,000. Other, 422,000. You have local planning office. Total expenditures, 582,000. Solid waste office. Total expenditures, 1.6 million. You go on to the next page, page 41. Administration, tourism, promotion, professional services, 1.5 million. Administration, economic development, professional services, 2.2 million. Administration, community development office, 277,000. Administration, sport, recreation, and cultural infrastructure, 535,000. For a total of 8.48 million. Governance, was 106,000. We go on to the next page, the last page, page 42. Planning and building inspection services, so planning services, you had a total of 732,000. Inspection services, 431,000. For solid waste services, you'll see you have machinery and equipment, 1.1 million. Landfill operations, 2.9 million. Waste diversion, 1.2 million. Amortization, 1.5 million. So total solid waste services of 8.2 million. Generation facility, 1,035,000. For a total of, for solid waste of 9.26 million. Are there any questions on the numbers in the financial statements? I could spend several more hours going through them. But at the same time, if you have any questions, more than happy to answer any questions you have.
As the chair, I'd have to cut you off because we don't. Does anyone have any questions? No questions.
No questions on the numbers. I would just like to comment as well, we had an audit, we met with the audit committee, presented our audit findings letter to the audit committee. There was no significant issues with the audit. It was a clean audit opinion. Your books and records were in very good shape. Management does a very good job keeping everything from the accounting perspective in good order. It's not our job as financial auditors to comment on your performance of your business and tell you where to you should do things better or anything like that. We just strictly comment on your numbers as they were incurred during the year. That's what you have outside consultants for and to do that. We are just strictly presenting the financial results. But like I said, very good financial controls in place, no material weaknesses. You have a very good accounting team in place. We had lots of support from the accounting team. And management was very helpful during the audit. And I like to bring that up just because we do have several audits during the year where we provide lots of thoughts on some internal control items. So very good shape from a financial reporting perspective. Are there any comments or questions on that piece?
Well, very pleased to hear that, and again, it goes to our staff. They do an excellent job for us, and we have a lot of confidence in our staff when it comes to doing these statements.
That's it from my perspective. Oh, is there a question?
He does, Director Fox? Yes, sorry, thank you for letting me know that, Mark.
No worries. I knew somebody would notice me here eventually.
So quiet.
I assume from those last comments that, that means there would be no management letter required.
We provided our management letter, to the audit committee.
Okay.
Is that it? Let's see, okay, thank you. So now what we'll do is we'll have Director Mowry, he has two motions on the floor.
Okay. Okay, I'm not gonna read this whole audit report because you've already read it, you've already had it from time. So I'm just gonna go right directly to the motions. And the first motion is, I move that the board receive the report of the audit committee dated April 1, 2025.
Got a seconder?
So,
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Your second motion, please.
I move that the board receive and approve the December 31st, 2024 draft financial statements of the Capital Region Service Commission.
Second one.
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director Mallory. And, so you can be excused, yes, and thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, folks. Thank you, Darren. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the others. Enjoyed,
Now we're going to move on to number 10, staff report, the auditor appointment. Don Fitzgerald, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. One of the things that the board does at its annual general meeting each year after the adoption of its financial statements is to appoint auditors for the coming fiscal year, which is January 1st of this year to December 31st. We have, from staff perspective, continue to be satisfied with the work of our existing auditors. They have quoted us a price for next year's audit of $32,000 plus HST. This represents a $1,500 increase over their previous year. We believe that represents good value, and the board has two options available for it at this point in time. First would be to reappoint our existing auditors, or in the absence of that, it would be to direct staff to go to market and get other quotes and find an alternate auditor. Staff's recommendation is that we adopt the first option to reappoint our auditors, which can be accomplished by the motion that is at the foot of the staff report that was in the package. And I draw your attention to the fact that this is an administrative matter and requires a simple majority to pass. And I'd take any questions that the directors may have, Madam Chair.
Have any questions before we put the motion on the floor?
Just one.
Yes.
Madam Chair, is it possible to have the letter to management part of the audit report that comes to the directors so that those that are fiduciary liable can be part of the entire audit?
Well, that's outside the scope of appointing of this report that I have here. But yes, certainly that's in the hands of the audit committee, and the audit committee can distribute it to the rest of the board.
Okay, so we have to come to here for motion on the floor. And if everybody is in consensus, then we'll go with recommendation number 1. And I would ask Director Mallory to read the motion, please.
Can I just ask a question before we get there?
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't want to miss this chance here. So when we just reviewed the financial statement, and I think I saw audit services that we had budgeted around 30,000 and the expenditure looked like it was 37. And I tried to go back through the document to find where that was, but can somebody respond?
Absolutely, that came up at our audit committee meeting, and I'll pass it over.
I asked that question, Director Fox, during the audit presentation. And it's because there's incurring expenses from the year before that didn't get completely finished and entered, so that they come in 2024. Their audit price was still what they quoted.
Okay, fair enough. No, that's, I just wondered what, you know, the quote of 32, if we were gonna end up seeing 39.
And that's what they put in was 32, but it's the previous year incurring expenses. So.
No, fair enough.
Okay, no further questions?
Okay, we're good?
Yes.
It be it resolved that the board appoint the Earl Howard McMillan from Lawrence, not Lawrence, so. And adjunct for the Capital Region Service Commission for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 25.
Seconded, 34
Any discussion? Ready for the question? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, Director of Maori. Now I need a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second by Stephen Sharp. Thank you.
Thank you, Judy.
See, I can't do that, Stephen.
I know you can. Good to see you.